Good morning Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning to all of the listeners of the Street 919 FM. Thank you so much for choosing the Street 919 FM as your frequency of choice this morning. You know, you always have options, but for some reason, there is a draw to the Street 919 FM. So, good morning to all of our loyal listeners, wherever it is that you're taking us in, whether you're listening to us via your radio or via one of our social media platforms, Facebook or YouTube. I think the stream will be up shortly if it isn't up already. So you could take us in on any of those. So if you're sitting around your kitchen table or you're standing by the sink, preparing to, in the process of preparing lunch, good morning to you. Good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Giuseppe. Morning, Angie. Good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Regis, Mother Tunapuna. Mano, morning. To all of our other loyal listeners, good morning to all of you. To my co-hosts, Bruce and Sharon, good morning. Right, so it's already 11:15. Or thereabouts. So let's get to it. Is he or isn't he? And I make reference specifically to I don't even know what to call him. Is he the acting commissioner of police? Is he not the acting commissioner of police? I don't know, depending on who you listen to, which newspaper you read, which newscast you listen to, you get a different answer, right? Which has, for all intents and purposes, all those citizens who care about their situation, or who have any interest in this situation, I'm sure you all are just as confused as I am, because the saga of Mr. Griffith continues. And it really was not my intention to discuss this issue too much, because there is no premise for me to do so, or no reliable premise, I should say, on which I can do so, because if you've been following this story for the past week or so, the narrative changes so much. Because you have one newspaper telling you one thing, another newspaper telling you one thing, you listen to a newscast, whether it's on radio or TV, you're getting something else. So one newspaper report told us that the press conference that was supposed to have taken place yesterday at high noon, which should have seen Mr. Griffith, Mr. Jacob, or let me call him Acting Commissioner Jacob, because I think he took issue with the notice that went out announcing this press conference, where he was referred to as Mr. Jacob and not his official title. And so therefore, So what we were told in one newspaper was that Mr. Griffith was supposed to have announced yesterday that two things were supposed to be announced. That the letter of suspension was rescinded by the Police Service Commission, thereby removing any doubt, any suspicion of wrongdoing on the part of Mr. Griffith, and also in acknowledgement of the fact that the process by which he would have been appointed to act was flawed, that Mr. Griffith was going to resign and allowing the process to take place. So we know resignation means that he was supposed to resign as acting commissioner of police or whatever it is. That did not happen, and subsequently we are now seeing this morning that there was no such agreement for him to resign, but rather that he would take an extended leave of absence until the 31st of October, or until the conclusion of the report into the FUL, or the conclusion of the FUL probe being done by Justice Stanley John. Whichever one comes first. So if the 31st of October comes first, based on what we are reading in today's newspaper, Mr. Griffith will be returning to office on the 1st of November. If the probe is completed before, and there is no wrongdoing to be had on Mr. Griffith's part, then he will return to office before the 31st of October. So that is what we are reading now. So as I said, it is difficult to decide which basis to have a conversation on. Because when you can't rely on the media to provide you with accurate information, we just shooting in the dark. And I'm really, really confused there. This is the depths to which journalism has reached in this country, that people are so quick to run and publish a story without finding the facts to the situation, to present to the people, to make an informed decision or to have a discussion on it. So I know that there would be some people who would be very upset with today's, what is now published in today's newspaper, because there are folks, I've been seeing a lot of lives being done on Facebook, persons who are for Gary Griffith, persons who are against Gary Griffith, people doing lives in front of the Red House, cussing out Gary Griffith, challenging him to come and lock them up now because he's a civilian and he's a nobody and he can't do nothing and he has no power. I am seeing snapshots of Facebook conversations between Mr. Griffith allegedly and certain persons who might be involved in alleged criminal activity, an exchange between the two where this individual is supposedly cussing out the Mr. Griffith, and again challenge him to come and find them here and nobody know. And so everybody's taking, well, not everybody. It seems a lot of people are taking opportunity now, this little interregnum here, where we're trying to decide what is Mr. Griffith's position to do things that they could not have done before, to challenge him and so on. But this has become a whole mess, a whole mess. And it's like every day, I don't even think there's a current soap opera taking place that could beat this. Because every day it's something different. It's a new storyline, it's a new chorus, it's something. And people, we just cannot seem to get the facts. Now, if it is, and this is my position, if it is that we are being told that the process by which Mr. Griffith would have been appointed to act was flawed, therefore, it begs the question, can he still say that he is the acting commissioner? Because the process by which you were appointed to act has been deemed flawed. That what was supposed to happen, a merit list was supposed to have been sent to the parliament to be debated and a choice made. We are now seeing in today's newspaper that there were two names on that list. I imagine one would have been Mr. Griffiths, the other possibly Mr. Jacob. And that list was supposed to have gone to the parliament to be debated and a choice made between the two. And only then could an appointment be made. Now, if that is the case, then can it be said that the basis upon which Mr. Jacob was appointed is also flawed? Because are they saying that he too, his appointment, was supposed to have been done through the same process, that the merit list was supposed to have been sent by the Police Service Commission to the President for onward submission to the Parliament, for it to be debated, for the Parliament to make a decision, and then for whoever to be appointed to act? So it now brings into the fore the question, is Mr. Jacob's appointment also legit? Again, and we're not getting any clarity on these issues, and more issues are now being brought into the mix. So we're reading in today's newspaper that the merit list was sent to the President as it was supposed to have been by the Police Service Commission. However, when it got there were some issues as to what was supposed to happen next based on the new legislation that came into place last year. And since nobody knew what to do, that the Office of the President would have referred to the attorney on the Police Service Commission, Mr. Kewal Singh, Commissioner Kewal Singh, for guidance as to how they should proceed. And then the commission took the decision to do their own thing, so I confused. Now, if it is that, as Mr. Griffith is saying, he is still the acting commissioner, but that he's on extended leave, and Mr. Jacob is now sitting in the chair while Mr. Griffith is on leave, allowing for the probe to go on so that there could be no perception of interference on his part, then the question is asked, is Mr. Griffith being compensated as Commissioner of Police? Is he being compensated on what some are saying was a flawed process? That he is, because some legal luminaries are saying he's not the acting commissioner, he's a civilian. Some are saying that he still is. So who is making the decision as to if he should be compensated? Is he being paid his $40,000 a month salary? And what other perks come with that? Is it that we have to expect that if it comes down to it, that a decision is made, that he was not the acting commissioner and he's being compensated? Are we now going to see something in the future similar to what would have happened with former President Carmona, where there was the whole issue of him receiving the housing allowance and there being a call for the money to be returned and all this bacchanal? So are we now setting the stage for more bacchanal to take place even when this current bacchanal is sorted out, whenever that is? Then Mr. Griffith is making a definitive statement that he will be returning to work no later than the 1st of November. Whether the probe being conducted by Stanley John is complete or not, he will be returning to work no later than the 1st of November. If Miss Justice John's probe continues beyond that date, Mr. Griffith will be, based on what he says, returning to office. So then it throws out of the window the position now taken by him that he has agreed to step aside so as to, so that there could be no concern or any perception of interference by him. But if the probe is still ongoing after the 1st of November, when he's telling us that he will return to office, then will that perception not come into play? I'm confused. In addition to that, the probe by Justice Stanley John is not the only probe into this FUL issue. We understand that the PCA is also conducting its own probe. There was the Pritchard report, which was submitted to, I think, the National Security Council and the Prime Minister. And I think I read somewhere where there is another probe, allegedly, being conducted by the TTPS. Now, if that is so, that particular probe is the most low-key of all. Now, I would find it very difficult and hard to believe that the TTPS is not conducting a probe and everybody else is trying to establish whether or not criminal conduct would have taken place in the issuance of firearm user's license. So the PCA, Stanley John, Pritchard, everybody conducting probe to determine whether or not there was any misconduct in public office, whether or not any officers would have engaged in criminal activity, perhaps soliciting bribes or whatever, to issue firearm user's license. And the TTPS is not conducting a probe into possible criminal activity? Really? I find that hard to believe. But as I said before, if that is in fact taking place, for some reason that probe seems to be the least of the apostles. We ain't about that at all. He ain't plenty about the Stanley John probe. PCA, I think, has now put out a request in the public domain through the media, social media, print media, calling on anybody who would have any information with respect to possible malfeasance in the issuance of FULs to come forward with their evidence. So it's a serious matter. But the TTPS ain't telling us anything about if they're doing a probe or not. I'm confused. So, are we saying then that if the Stanley John probe is completed before the 31st of October and Mr. Griffith returns to office, as he says he will be doing, will he be returning to office while the PCA probe is still ongoing? And therefore, will he be able to influence, or would that perception of him trying to influence that investigation come into play? And then what about if there is no TTPS probe at this point in time, and coming out of the findings of the Stanley John report and whichever report, if it is found that possible criminal conduct took place and the TTPS commences an investigation, will Mr. Griffith still be sitting in the commissioner's chair while such an investigation is going on? So then what about the perception of him being able to influence the investigation? You're standing back now so that that perception would not come into play in respect to the Stanley John report. But a more substantive probe by the TTPS, we are now seeing the possibility that Mr. Griffith could be sitting in the chair of commissioner while such a probe is taking place, which would cast doubt over the legitimacy of such a probe. Because he can't influence directly Justice John. He can't influence directly the PCA because those two entities don't fall under him directly. But a TTPS probe, certainly the persons conducting that probe would fall under him. So that perception will now present itself. So are we going to see that he's going to then go back and leave while that investigation is taking place? And for how long is that investigation going to take place? Are we going to rush it because we can't have the commissioner out of office for a lengthy period of time? And then what impact is that going to have on the issue of the merit list, the new merit list for the appointment of a substantive commissioner? Because we see that another commissioner has resigned. Let me just get the name correct here. This would be Dr. Susan Craig James has now resigned. So there are now two members of the Police Service Commission, Chairman Bliss C. Prasad and Commissioner Roger K. Walsing, both of whom are embattled because Commissioner Kewal Singh, as we now have been reading, we've seen transcripts of the email that he would have sent to Chairman Sipasad, registering his concern with respect to her quote-unquote high-handed handling of the matter, where she took unilateral decisions with respect to issuing the suspension letter to Mr. Griffith. And he and the other two commissioners were not in agreement with that. But Mr. Kewal Singh, it is alleged, or based on what we've read, would have copied Gary Griffith in that missive. And questions are being raised. So now we are being told that the president, Paula May Weeks, has written to Mr. Kewal Singh seeking an explanation as to why he copied Gary Griffith on that, what should have been confidential correspondence amongst the members of the commission, because that is supposed to be an independent body, and that perhaps what Mr. Kewal Singh did, Commissioner Kewal Singh, impugns the integrity of the Police Service Commission. Further to that, we are now seeing a photo circulating on Facebook, allegedly, of then Commissioner Griffith and Commissioner Kewal Singh standing on the balcony of Commissioner Kewal Singh's home sometime back in 2019. As I said, it's alleged. I can't put a date or verify a date to the photo, but in the photo you have Commissioner Griffith is standing on the balcony and he's leaning over, I think with a drink in his hand, casually dressed of course, and next to him allegedly is Commissioner Kewal Singh. So questions would of course are being asked. What was Commissioner Griffith doing at the home of Commissioner Kewal Singh? What is the nature of their friendship? What is the nature of their relationship? And given the fact that if they're so good that Mr. Griffith could be at the home of Commissioner Kewal Singh, did he declare a conflict of interest, that he has that relationship with the Commissioner of Police, which would render him not so independent to serve on the board of the Police Service Commission? Now, with the resignation of Dr. Craig James, the commission is now rendered inchoate. And just for the benefit of the Sunday Express, there's a fundamental difference between inchoate and inchoate. First of all, the spelling is extremely different, okay? And two different meanings express. So the commission is not now inchoate, it is inchoate, meaning that you require a certain number of commissioners in order for certain decisions to be taken. In the absence of that number of commissioners, no decisions taken by the remaining commissioners can be considered to be legally binding. You must have a minimum, right? That is what inchoate means, not inchoate. Please, Express. Who is the editor of the Express? Really? Seriously? Are these things proofread before you all publish it? Come on now, man. Better than that, Express. You all have been in the business for too long. So Trinidad and Tobago, a whole set of questions now present themselves, because the president, based on this article in today's Express, the office of the president is saying that Her Excellency intends to move expeditiously to appoint 2 new members to the Police Service Commission so that they can once again be quorate, right? But is the president going to appoint 2 new persons to what some may consider a contaminated Police Service Commission? There have been loud calls for Chairman Bliss Sipasad to go. There have been calls also for Commissioner Kewal Singh to go, because that photo in and of itself renders him tainted, for want of a better word, right? The fact that he would have seen it fit to copy Gary Griffith on that correspondence that was meant really for circulation just amongst the 4 members of the commission also presents problems for him. So he too is embattled, and there are calls for both of them to go. So the question now is asked, should the president leave these 2 people? Should she call for their resignation? Invite them to offer their resignation? As most people feel they should, that they shouldn't even wait for the president to ask. They should just do the honorable thing and submit their resignation and leave it to the president to decide if she will accept. I think there is no question that she will accept, because she would have accepted the resignations of the 2 other commissioners. And so it stands to reason that the other 2 who are more embattled than the 2 who have already resigned, that they're more than likely their resignations, if submitted, would be accepted. It behoves me to understand why either one of them still holding on, but we are seeing reports that Commissioner Kewal Singh's resignation is imminent, and we're not hearing anything about Bliss Sipasat. So if an entirely new commission is installed, do they now have to go through, review the entire process to create a whole new merit list to submit for the appointment of a substantive police commissioner? Or are they going to pick up where the last commission left off? More questions that are being asked, because based on the way that the current commission has operated, to me, it taints the entire process, all that they would have done up to this point. We now also have the case where, because that decision to create the current merit list is also now the subject of judicial review, because Anand Ramasa, is he an inspector? I can't remember, or sergeant. I think he's inspector. That he has filed for judicial review of that process. And until that matter is heard and dispensed with in the court, then they cannot proceed. The Police Commission, Service Commission cannot proceed with the process to appoint a substantive commissioner, because Mr. Ramasa is making the claim that he was discriminated against and so on, and therefore, as somebody who is interested in the position, that there should be a review. So if we have to go through the entire process again to create a whole new merit list, if the court decides that we find favor in Mr. Ramasa's arguments, and therefore we have to scrap the whole process that has already been completed, how long is that going to take? What is it going to cost us? Taxpayers. Should the president take the chance to go and just appoint 2 new commissioners and leave the other 2 who are there absent a resignation from either one of them, and then run the risk of there being the perception that the 2 remaining commissioners could taint the 2 incoming commissioners? Or should she just scrap the entire thing and bring in a whole new 4 commissioners, although they're supposed to be 5? And then this new commission, assuming that the president goes down that road to appoint 4 new people or 5 new people, as the case may be, I don't understand why the 5th one wasn't appointed. But let's just say that she appoints a whole new commission. They now have to be familiarized with the process, because these are people who have, I imagine, would not have been involved before, unless the president draws on the expertise of perhaps commissioners, persons who would have served on previous police service commissions, and to bring them into the process, so at least they would have some knowledge of how this particular commission works, and that the process could be expedited. Because if you bring in totally new people, they have to be brought up to speed. The secretariat of the commission has to bring them up to speed on what would have taken place and what needs to happen. They would have to seek legal advice, because they don't want a repeat of what just happened. And I mean, this is the 2nd term of the existing Police Service Commission. Bliss Sipasal would have been part of the process that resulted in the merit list that put up Gary Griffith to become Commissioner of Police. Although my understanding and what I'm seeing, well, it was reported back then that he was in fact 4th on the merit list. But we know, and that wasn't anything new, but I'm seeing people talking as if that is something new. That was out there when it was debated in the Parliament, when the appointment was being debated. That was one of the issues that the UNC raised, that the government's choice for nominee, Mr. Griffith, was not 1st on the merit list. And there were talk shows, morning talk shows, that were prosecuting that they were saying that every time they have to debate a particular nominee, and then they debate that nominee, and then they had to come back, and how long was this process going to take, and so on, because you have to, every time you go through a nominee and you get rid of that one to move down the list, and so on, and it's back and all, and there was the perception that it would have taken forever to get through the process to appoint Gary Griffith. So that is nothing new, but again, you know, Trinidad and Tobago, nine-day wonder, we have very short memories with respect to certain things. But that was the case. So now, Mr. Griffith is confident that he will be returned. Where do we go from here is anybody's guess. It's in the hands of the president, whether or not she's going to appoint an entirely new commission or retain the services of the existing two, the remaining two, and appoint two more. But as I said before, that too has potential ramifications. Now I tell you, it is very difficult, very, very difficult to get people who are competent to serve on these boards. Very difficult. Because one of the main deterrents for getting quality people to serve, not just on service commissions, but on state boards as a whole, is the fact that once you agree and you accept the offer, you now fall under the Integrity in Public Life Act, right? Which means that every year you are required to complete or to submit a declaration. A very, very intrusive declaration that asks questions and requires you to outline everything that you own. All of your assets, all of your liabilities, your personal financial life is laid bare for the Integrity Commission. If you have 50 cents in your pocket at the time that you're filling out that declaration, you need to declare that too. It is that intrusive, I can tell you, having completed that form. Everything. And then the hassle of having to go and get bank statement and statement from wherever it is, with the credit union, with the unit trust, wherever you have money, right? To satisfy, to substantiate what you put in this declaration, because they need to make sure that you are not taking bribes on the side, that nobody whispering in your ears, or you don't get no text messages or WhatsApp messages, you know? To take a little bribe here or a bribe there, that you're not receiving gifts to do favors for persons. Remember, different boards have different power and different abilities. Some boards have the wherewithal to give mega contracts. Some boards have the power to influence certain outcomes, public outcomes. And therefore, these persons, you know, are prime targets to be approached by persons who are looking for favors and willing to pay money. So that you are required every year, as I said before, to lay bare all of your finances. Your entire financial life is out there. And some people just not willing to do that, and so they're not willing to come forward to serve. So it's whoever is available, well, you have to do with that, make do with that. So that is another issue that the president is going to have to deal with. If she can find people who are willing to serve. All right? That's a problem. So it's a whole mess. A big, big mess, right? Now I see the leader of the opposition is calling for the Attorney General to resign. She wants the entire board of the Police Service Commission to resign. And I guess she's probably just holding her tongue and calling for the president to resign. So they raise issues with respect to the president's role in all of this. But they just stop short of saying that the president should resign. Okay, but we know probably in the back, in the circles behind, they probably talking that talk. But nobody brave enough to come out and say the president should resign. Not that she would take them on anyway. But I recall, and you see, the president now has found herself in a situation where she is the subject of much ridicule and scorn. And people saying that people who before were in her corner, and I'm seeing people doing lives on Facebook, now abusing the president. And these, as I said before, people who were in her corner are now saying that, is she offering a fair day's work for a fair day's pay? That in her inaugural speech, she would have pointed or highlighted that fact, calling on public servants to give a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. And now people are saying, well, are we getting a fair day's work from the president for the exorbitant salary that she's collecting? Because she's seemingly silent on a whole set of things that is happening in the society, and people are calling on her to speak and to act. Unfortunately, those statements or those positions are coming from a place of ignorance. Because the Constitution limits the remit of the president. And people need to familiarize themselves with what is the remit of the president under the Constitution. That the president, even if she may wish to do so as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, who might want to commiserate with the issues of the day that most people have an issue with, she cannot. Because that could lead to a constitutional crisis. We may very well recall that her predecessor, during his inaugural speech, made that famous statement, powers you think I have, I do not. And powers you think I don't have, I do. But there was never a substantive conversation as to what are the powers that he has And what are the powers that he doesn't have? So people are now left to just assume what powers the president has and what powers the president doesn't have. And in the absence of that conversation, it will continue that the president will continue to be abused, that she need to come out and speak against the government, that the government oppressing the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and why the president not saying nothing about that, and food prices going up, and why the president not calling on the government to intervene, to issue or to implement price controls. Why the president didn't talk about the Andrea Barrett issue? Why is she not talking about crime? Why she's not this and why she's not that? And the opposition, of course, are quite happy to have that conversation take place. But I recall when the predecessor to this president's predecessor attempted to do exactly what people are now asking this president to do, which is to intervene in a public issue, or an issue that is of public concern, Section 34, when Section 34 was declared, and all the bacchanal and brouhaha that came about with respect to that. Then President George Maxwell Richards wrote to then Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar asking for an explanation as to the rationale behind the pulling out of Section 34 from the wider legislation for proclamation and not any of the other clauses in the bill. To which, as I recall, it wasn't formal, but the response of the then Prime Minister was basically, you're damn fast and out of place to ask me that. Who are you to write me to explain to you? I am the Prime Minister. I don't have an answer to you. And then there was the issue of the part of the Constitution that talks about consultation between the Prime Minister and the President and so on and whatnot and all of that bacchanal. And there were the legal luminaries who say, well, she don't have an answer to he. She could just throw that missive in the garbage. So, what is this president to do? She could talk. But then that causes problems because it could seem when legislation, so if the government decides to come with legislation that the president disagrees with, and she makes a public statement on that, what is she to do when the two houses of parliament pass the legislation and it comes before her for assent? Is she going to say, well, I am not signing this because, or I am not assenting to this because my objection to this legislation is on public record, so I'm not going to do it? Can she do that? Can she thwart the business of the executive? Does she have that power in law? No, she doesn't. And people don't want to understand that. So, what I find interesting, however, is that, let me see the time here. All right, just give me 1 sec here. Yes, let me just respond to this here. Right. Good. All right. Right. So one of Mrs. Persad-Bissessar is her call for the Attorney General to resign is rooted in the legal opinion of former Justice Ralston Nelson. She is of the view that Justice Nelson's position that the legislation that was brought by the Attorney General last year with respect to the process for appointing a new commission, and by extension, the process by which the Police Service Commission would have appointed Mr. Griffith as the acting commissioner is flawed. In her mind, Justice Nelson's legal opinion is sound, and she agrees with it 100%, and he knows what he is talking about. And on that basis, Attorney General Faris El-Rari should resign, the commission should resign, and as I said, she just stopped short of saying the president should resign. Now I want to ask Mrs. Persad-Bissessar this question this morning. There is another issue in the public domain that happened last week as well that surprisingly didn't get the amount of opposition attention as one would have expected. And I'm making specific reference here to the settlement between Petrotrin and AV Drilling, where AV Drilling was awarded based on what I would have read from Mr. Bash, the principal of AV Drilling, some $102 million, plus another 18 million, I believe it is, or thereabout. No, yeah. Somewhere in the vicinity of 102 and $120 million coming out of the arbitration with respect to the fake oil matter, which Mrs. Prasad Bisesa raised. Interestingly, the board of Petrochin took the decision to settle that matter based on a legal opinion from the same Justice Nelson, whose opinion Mrs. Prasad Bisesa tells us is sound with respect to the Police Service Commission matter and the Commissioner of Police. You can't be half pregnant. So you can't tell me that his judgment is sound with respect to the Police Service Commission matter and the appointment of a police commissioner. But when it comes to the AV drilling matter, it's not sound. It's the same man, using the same legal knowledge, the same legal experience, and he is looking at it from the perspective, if this matter had come to me in my chamber as judge, I would have reviewed the information that is before me, and the decision that I would have made as a judge would have been in favor of AV drilling. That's basically what he's saying, right? I'm giving you the opinion that I would have rendered based on me sitting on the bench, okay? And if this came to me as a judge, I would have found for AV drilling based on the information that I see before me, okay? The UNC seemingly is very, very quiet about that settlement. In fact, I would have gone through their Facebook page this morning and there is nothing, not one word about that matter. I went through Kirk Mayhew's Facebook page, nothing about that AV drilling matter. Motomouth Munilal has said nothing on that matter. Kamla Prasad Bisesa has had no comment to make on that matter. Never mind the fact that she was the one who brought it out into the public domain. And it was a big issue. And so since 2017, we've been hearing about this fake oil. And the government shut down Petrochin because they wanted to get rid of the evidence. The fake oil issue. All of that we were hearing, you know. Yes. When it is that this judgment was posted on social media, the members of the literati had plenty to say. Oh, the government corrupt, and they're giving the boy money, and that money is to fund the THA election that's coming up. All kind of bacchanal. But we ain't hear nothing from the officials of the UNC. Why is that? Is it that Mrs. Prasad Bisesa agrees with the view or the opinion of Justice Nelson in that matter? Is it that she realized that she erred? And if that is so, can we expect a resignation from her in this matter? Because you're calling for resignation for everybody else based on what you perceive to be errors. So based on this outcome, did you make an error? And can we now expect to see you at a press conference where you announce that you are going to step down? Not likely. Hardly likely. Not when you're earning over $100,000 a year, a month, sorry, in salary. Highest paid public servant in the country. You can't give that up. Not at all. I see the ads coming up, folks. We take a break and we come back on the other side of 12 o'clock.
Sign up and save with Green Dot. When you subscribe to any of our broadband packages, you get 30% off the installation fee, allowing you to stream your favorite shows on any of your devices. Update your social media accounts and connect with friends and family. Stay on top of the class with online learning sessions. Or keep your team in the loop with virtual meetings, all at an affordable price. This is a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 224-GDOT today to sign up and save with Green Dot, improving and simplifying lives.
Aha! Well, we're gonna deal with all the virtuous man and them out there. Na na na. Look how you tell me that you love me and the love in this field. That's not the way that it feels good. Oh na na. Zablana bless them again. Big up all the Empress them. Remember we tell them, all here, support the thing, listen. Look how you tell me that you love me and you love in this field. That's not the way that it seems, girl. Your loving girl to your lost its seal. That love could never be real, girl. Say you want me, say you need me. Every day is realize that you feed me. So just believe me, you better leave me. I'm telling you, lady, your love is fake. I know loving you was a big miss. Wow. Always love in the house, you know. Fear vibes in the house, you know. Big up the 919 family all the time. Listen, listen, listen. Oh lady, look how you tell me that you love me and your loving is feel. That's not the way that it seems, girl. Your loving got tired, lost its seal. That love could never be real, girl. Say you want me, say you need me. Every day is realize that you feed me. So just believe me, you better leave me. I'm telling you, lady, your love is fake. I know loving you was a big mistake. Promises you made with the promises you break. There's so much of your bullshit I just can't take. All the man who went through this, listen, listen. Well, I myself a whatever back whenever woman there's no turning back. I won't be running back, girl. Say you love me every day, you just get up and act. I just can't live like that, girl. You's an actor, this a factor. I know the scenes with you each and every chapter. No time to stay me, cause you can't play me. I'm telling you, lady, your love is fake. I know loving you was a big mistake. Promises you made with the promises you na 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 na. Say be and bless them. Nobody girl tell me. What she tell me? They said that you'll be here for me, here for me. She never care for me, but bother with them sexy clothes you wear, cause you no way for me. You better take a second, sit down and listen carefully. You're driving me crazy. If for the money and the vanity where you are run down, only got you looking like a natural clown. I'm just a scandal and you're around the town. Young girl, please settle down, cause your love is fake. I know loving you was a big mistake. God bless them, God bless them again, you know. Pull up that selector, wow.
Simpsons Memorial Limited, number 63 Eastern Main Road, Laventille. Internationally accredited funeral directors and embalmers. A full-service funeral home serving families of Trinidad and Tobago and internationally since 1945. At Simpsons Memorial Limited, we serve with dignity in assisting families in honoring the memory of their loved ones. Our services include professional funeral and pre-planning, burials and cremation, custom-built and imported caskets, coffins and cremation trays, cemetery management, limousines, mourners cars, grief counseling, web streaming of funerals, fully air-conditioned chapel with live musical accompaniment, full global shipping and receiving of loved ones. We specialize in facial restorations. Call us anytime, day or night, at 623-8688. That number again is 623-8688. Simpsons Memorial Limited. Superior service, always with excellence.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring.
It's Extra Foods, plenty for 20 budget bargains. Top Shelf Ramen, 9 for $20. Carrots, 1 pound pack, 6 for $20. Joe Sing Noodles, 6 for $20. Golden Bread Margarine, 3 for $20. Chef Made Vinegar, 5 for $20. So Dancer Potato Chips, 7 for $20. O Snacks Double Nut Canola Bars, 5 for $20. And Gala Apples, 10 for $20. So many great plenty for 20 specials. And sale runs from October 24th to October 4th. Extra Foods, always extra for less.
Hi, what's up, TNT? This is Wayne Johnson out of Brooklyn, New York. I always wanted to do something back home, and we're going to be doing our gospel segment on Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM. Listen what I want you to do. Spread the word. Spread the word, TNT. Salvation, full and free. Salvation is for everybody. Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM.
Police!
Good day. Officer Best Price here. Johnny Q Auto Parts Division.
Yes, sir.
I'm here to investigate an assault on batteries.
Excuse me, sir?
Is it true you have batteries selling for $488?
Yes. Power Master, Optima, Vata, and Megastar batteries.
So I can buy a battery for $488?
Yes, sir. For cars, trucks, and boats. Backed and distributed by Massey Automotive.
Which part?
Right here at Johnny Q Hardware and Auto Parts Division, 15 Arrowbita Avenue, Woodbrook. And our new Johnny Q Superstore, located at Lowlands Mall off Claude Noel Highway in Tobago. You could call 60 Tools.
All right. Thanks, boss. Nah, man. Ronnie,
Do you have $488 to lend, man?
At Health and Wealth Lifestyle, we offer a wide range of services: blood analysis, iridology, acupuncture, foot detox, foot massages, gua sha, hot stone therapy, fire therapy, legs and feet massage therapy, mineral scrubs, acrotherapy, cupping.
We also have a wide variety of supplements, silver, zinc and magnesium, body light, and lots more.
We at Health and Wealth Lifestyle operate our business in a clean, safe, and comfortable environment. We frequently sanitize our compound and abide by all the COVID guidelines that are currently in place.
So come on down to Health and Wealth Lifestyle, where we treat you like family. Book your appointment today. Call us at 1-868-275-8359.
Or 1-868-288-1108.
And remember, your health is your wealth, and prevention is always better than medication.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for staying locked to the Street 919 FM. So, yeah, well, that's my 2 cents for today on this matter. As I said at the start, it really wasn't my intention to go into this because I don't know. There's just too many questions now. Too many questions I foresee will be coming on this matter as we proceed. I don't foresee any sensible resolution to this issue anytime soon. Yeah. So, but those all who expected to see the back of Gary Griffith, based on what he's saying, and I imagine it would be based on legal opinion, don't get your hopes up. All right. So 3420081 4665391. Let me see who I have here. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, boy Dominic, brother.
Hey, boss man. How are you going?
Yeah, good day, man, and good afternoon to Sharon in the kitchen and to Bruce Wayne. Dominic, this thing is a whole callaloo of confusion. And I think the president, there's so much things here. That whole commission should be recalled because they don't have a quorum anymore. A quorum is 3.
Correct.
Right, so she wants to go and appoint 2 more commissioners there with those commissioners with question marks over their head. And the lady who's in charge, she also has a sister in the independent bench as well. You know that, right, Dominic?
Yes.
Right. So we look at, and so this is the president baby. This commission is the president baby. She appointed them. She has to take responsibility for it. There's no longer a quorum. So it's just to resolve that whole callaloo of confusion. And all this buck there is going to fall right back on Dr. Rowley here to be fixed in the parliament. And remember that the opposition have numbers. And they will use their numbers in order to frustrate and to impede any progress to be made with this commission. So all this is to weigh down on Dr. Rowley, and this is the unfair thing here. When people do the bungling and the foolishness, right? Either Gary goes or he stays, it has to go back to Parliament. So I am saying, you see this set of foolishness in this country, and then the opposition is going to look for watered down legislation. But somehow, the Attorney General have been finding ways to get these things fixed with a simple majority. But as Mr. Manning said, you're taking away the teeth and you're watering down the legislation. So I'm calling on the President today, as there's no more quorum. I'm asking Auntie Tanti to remove the rest of those 2 commissioners Thank you, white Dominic, brother. Listen, enjoy.
Thank you, sir. Auntie Tanti. Yeah, I just remember that the UNC's option was Deodath Dulalchan. Is he still in the police service? Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Hi, good afternoon.
Dominic, this combination is a black and white, alleged. It's a black and white thing we're going on. Dominic?
I don't know.
It's a black and white because the security, national security, Mr. Hines, say this man call him. And so he called Mr. Hines. So what about that now? And Mr. Hines too black to talk to Graham with it? I want to know if it's black and white is going on here. Well, I would just have to ask a question. If that is going on here, black and white, have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
You too, Miss Baruga. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Hi, Jenny.
Good afternoon, listeners to 91.9, Mr. Chance, Mother Tanapuna, Miss Zina, all my golden girls, everybody. Dominic, I just want to keep it on Gary Griffith for now, right? Gary Griffith, well, we are seeing that he was fought on the merit list and all that, so he was chosen. Although he had only military background, he had the academic qualification. In order for him to take up the position as the Commissioner of Police, he had to be made a SRP, right?
Yeah.
And there was parliamentary approval for that. When that contract came to an end on September the 17th, 2021, all the status that contract carried would have ended that day. So he was no longer SRP. I am asking, is it on the 17th, a new contract was given to him to carry on until the situation with the COP to be chosen again? And if that contract was given to him, is it that parliamentary approval was got, that he was able now to be the acting Commissioner of Police, and based on that he would have said, listen, before I take up this position, I want to go on some no-pay leave? Because to me, if those things didn't happen in those kind of sequencing, Gary Griffith is a civilian. And to me, him coming out and only speaking about he's the acting Commissioner of Police, when there has not been, to my knowledge, any parliamentary approval to make him back SRP after it would have ended on September the 17th. A civilian cannot be the head of the police service. That is why, in my mind, there is acting Commissioner McDonald Jacob, because he's actually within the system, because he's actually a police. So when I'm hearing Mr. Griffith continues to behave like that, I'm asking a simple question. Is it that there has been parliamentary approval after September the 17th to make him back a SRP? And if there has not been, no matter what contract he has been given or assurance he has been given by the Police Service Commission, it cannot stand up because of the fact there's one element missing. He is not a police and he is not a SRP because there was no parliamentary approval. So all this grandstanding that he's making, to me, should be left, let the court make the decision, because that is where it's at. And he will be talking himself out of any position, and then he will say it is unfair. But he keep putting himself in a public space and want to pick a fight with the acting Commissioner of Police and this one and that one, in the absence of him actually being an SRP or police. So that's just my thing. I'm just leaving it there. And to me, Gary Griffith is a civilian, or no, unless there has been some type of parliamentary approval to make him back a SRP after September the 17th. If not, Mr. Griffith, you are a civilian and you have to treat with that until. Thanks, Dominic. Safely.
Thank you, Jenny. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. 675. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How are you doing, Dominic?
I am good. Can't complain.
Well, Dominic, I am not speaking nothing about Gary Griffith or the police service today. Because if the head cast written, the tail will hush them out. I have nothing to say. All that I want to say, I will left to see what will be the outcome of it. That is what I have to say. You understand me?
Yes.
Because it's a set of zombies and clowns. That is what I want to say today. I have nothing to say. Dominic, something touched me yesterday where those 3 people was murdered. Can you hear me, Dominic?
Loud and clear.
Right. And then I think this week also had another mother and a daughter was murdered in South. Dominic, this is something touching, you understand me? And they all is relatives. You understand? I don't know what is taking place, Dominic, right now, but we need to look at it. I keep asking in Google, where is the love? Where is the love? And I saw in a country too, is it Coastal? You realize how much water and toilet paper they entitled to get, Dominic? So you
Yes.
saw we happy in Trinidad? You saw that, right?
Yes, I saw that.
So you see how we happy in Trinidad, Dominic? I was shocked when I saw that, Dominic. You understand me? They're telling you how much you're entitled to get, Dominic.
Yes.
Anyhow, Dominic, you have a good one and reach home safe.
Thank you. And I'm seeing there are significant shortages taking place in the UK, so much so that they are now, because of a shortage of workers, they are now offering up to £5,000 per month for people to come and pick cabbage. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Greetings.
Good afternoon. After Mr. Chance, Teresa Conliffe, Mommy Sauce, Miss Cummins, Clement, Miserable Fireman. All right. Dominic, this police commissioner comments, to me, it reminds me, Dominic, of the Chief Justice situation. When I sit down and I try to play it out, everything playing back, which part, this guy, they want to get rid of this guy because this guy for the last 3 years has hold on the country, has tried his best. Not everything is perfect, but he has tried his best to do a good job. And something fishy about those charges that they want to bring against the man. You understand? Somebody want to get him out of the way, and this remind me of when they wanted to get the Chief Justice out. You understand, Dominic? That's my opinion. Right? That's my contribution for the day. Because I really following it up, because after I realized a couple years ago the state trader was in, and this guy come here and try to help out, right? And now, rich part crime went down, people was a little safer, and now all of a sudden, everybody trying to get him out, something fishy somewhere, Dominic. That's the way I see it. Okay, brother? You have a nice day. Listen to your program.
You too, sir. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Greetings.
How are you today, my financial guru?
I am good.
Good day to everyone. Nobody ain't trying to get him out of number, brother. It's the way Gary Griffith go about doing his thing. Because let me draw a reference. And I'm going based on what my female guru, so Dominic, please allow, based on my female guru assessment of the situation. Have you ever seen Gary Griffith within his 3-year contract? Have you ever seen Gary Griffith told us who was the acting police commissioner behind him?
No.
All right. That leaves you to questioning.
Yes.
Up to now, Gary Griffith, since he been there, has never yet shown us, the citizens, or the police service commissioner has never yet showed us in this 3 years who is underneath Gary. Because Gary is not a police officer. Let me explain to you what happened. When we had Gibbs and Watsky, and that's why I keep telling people, our police service is in a big mess. We had, just recently there was a roadblock. A man driving a police vehicle doing police duty and was drawn before the court about 4 days ago. And How did he end up with a police vehicle driving down the road? So under Gibbs and Waskey, when they came, in order to get the side of the officers, they promoted female police officers. Right? When they left with nearly $500,000 Canadian dollars, he had, I forget the name of the last one, he had batch. If you observe, when Griffith came into office, Griffith didn't promote no police officers around him or within the service. Griffith brought in a whole heap of former military men, made them SRPs, and those are the men that was surrounding Griffith. Do you realize that, Dominic?
Yes.
So that is where the problem starts in the police service now, because the men who have years of service, Gary Griffith pat them down and put the SRPs and them in line. Think about it. There was supposed to be a press conference yesterday. A document was sent from the commissioner's office on Friday stating there's a press conference between the former commissioner of police and the present acting commissioner of police is supposed to have a press conference at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock yesterday. That's all.
Yep.
No one ruled yesterday morning. The present acting commissioner of police come out and tell me he knows nothing about it. But it has the letterhead of the police service commission, not so? So Gary Griffith outside, because Gary Griffith is a contracted officer. From the time his contracted ended, his line of being a SRP ended, as Jenny outlined to you. So anybody else is to come after the man who is supposed to be acting, who was underneath Gary Griffith's second in command, that is the man who automatically becomes police commissioner. So how come you acting police commissioner, but a document leave your office coming out stating you having a press conference with you and the former commissioner of police and you don't know about that? And how that is possible? When you
that's a good question.
Apologize to the citizens, then something wrong in the police service. Dominic, enjoy it.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Let me say good afternoon to you, Dominic.
Kingsley.
Yes, man. And I want to tell my friend from Grandy that nobody after Guy Griffith. Guy Griffith is himself. Himself is after himself. Nobody after. And we have to ask the question, why documents is being released on social media with the Trinidad and Tobago logo? We have to ask the question, who is stamping with documents in the former commissioner office? We have to ask that question. How we are seeing that documents with Trinidad and Tobago logo, big stamp on it, and then our acting commissioner, Jacob, has to come out and say, hey, I do not know about that. Who is leaking documents in that police service, in that headquarters? Who is doing that work? Who is looking to undermine, at this time, the acting commissioner for the former commissioner of Gary Griffith? I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. I don't come on the airwaves to libel or scandal, but ask questions. And I'm asking, who is the person is undermining the acting commissioner for the former commissioner of this country, Gary Griffith? I'm asking that question. And I want to know. We want to know. Oh, it could be. And you know something, Dominic? It's not healthy to be on the opposition leader because she is sleeping. But you go on Dave Tanku to answer the questions. Because I was strongly advised Dave Tanku is the political leader of the UNC. She does it by name in front, but I was strongly advised that Dave Tanku. So if you have to ask, because if you call her phone now, she phone might be off. No media could get onto her. But if you call Dave Tanku, at this moment of time, you will get onto Dave Tanku. So she's not irrelevant. People in the UNC and all don't even have one Kamala Prasad, who she now choose to be on her own executive. So she's not relevant to speak about at this time. Because the UNC dropped the ball. The UNC focused on getting back the Gary Griffith job. The UNC focus on getting back Gary Griffith job was they waiting for this one to call on the president to go. The first thing the opposition and them supposed to do is call on the attorney as general to make a press conference, but no, you're going to talk about PNM on the man in Gary and they do over Gary. Drop the ball. The second thing they would have to do as a strong opposition is call on the president. And the third thing they would have to do is call on the Police Service Commission to resign. This is the chief office. The opposition supposed to be calling on to resign. But no. They go on Gary high horse and start to support Gary Griffith on the madman rant. It's madman rant. I am hearing on the news, on Jamaica News, that only that he's saying that he decided to go and leave for himself and he could walk in there. I asked them, anytime Gary Griffith walk inside there and only lock up the police, lock up Gary Griffith for walking inside there. I am going to go mad in this country, no. I am going to go mad in this country. Anytime Gary Griffith walk inside there, because the Police Service Commission dropped the ball. Because the Police Service Commission have to tell us how the hell they give back Gary Griffith to be the acting commissioner. To be the acting commissioner. No way. No way at this time. When we know that acting list, whoever it is, 5 or 4 or 1, it needs to send to the president, and then the president needs to send it to the parliament that they could debate and select when the government have the majority of the seats. So even if they want Gary and the opposition said no, like what they do last 3 years, the government did wanted Gary and the government voted yes for Gary and the opposition abstained for Gary. But the opposition say abstain is more stronger than no. So I know how to say the vote because they say abstain. And Robert, Kamala Prasad and Wade Mark and the UNC say abstain is a more stronger word than no. But I know no is no. You stand your ground. I don't know that I feel less or I feel no. No. No is no and yes is no. Or I think so, or I didn't think so, No. No is no. So I do not know about that UNC education by the them telling people that abstention is no. But as a quote, because this case is very interesting and people that's talking off of their head and not do no research. This thing called for research intellectual voice on this topic. Even if it's a PNM and they do not have the facts, don't call in at all. Wait for the next topic. Because this does nobody enjoy being Gary. Nobody enjoy Gary to leave. Gary wants himself to leave. Because Gary doing the same thing. What he do the UNC in 2015, my friend from Grandy, he come out and run all over the place and babble him out. And listen to me, we see a family was wiped out and in 24 hours some suspect was hold. They think that Gary Griffith was there. So I want to clap this morning the acting commissioner of police, Jacob, because our family was finished, mother and daughter and son. And fast, the police service hold some suspect. And I think that today I am seeing crime for the past few weeks. That is my point of view. And I'm not going to take it back. I'm not going to take it back. I find for the past 3 days, as Gary Griffith is not the commissioner of this country, he's now a civilian. I want to tell you something, Gary. Make sure I'm reaching site before 9 o'clock. because you will be locked up if you're outside after 9. Make sure and be inside in your house and don't even go to the
Leave it here, Kingsley.
But no, before I go, let me ask you this. I want to thank Rhoda Barrett. I want to thank PNM Rhoda Barrett for being so strong, Dominic, calling on the AG to resign. I want to thank you, Rhoda, but because the AG are along the line, and I want to say this, is what have PNM in this position, because some months ago in June, he went and amendment the bill. I require tamper with the bill and put a word saying that commissioner, because before if you wasn't a full-grown officer, you couldn't be acting.
Well, leave it there, that's somebody else will it on.
Thank you very much, Bill Dominic.
All right. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, Dominic, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Well, King, please, good thing I have the demo phone because my money would have finished. But anyway, good. What is... Sorry about that, Dominic. Yeah. So, I had to agree with Barataria on the commissioner's debacle, right? Now, it's alleged, right? He came in as a special reserve, right? And he give himself a regular number to be regular. I don't know if anybody knows about that. I think the PSC would have knowledge of that. You understand? So all what's taking place now, that was expected because they still say you cannot bring a force in to run the police service. You won't get the results you're requiring. And as for a commissioner, I think that he talks to his social media and to criticize people, and that's how much this commissioner I see. He jumped out himself already. You understand? It can't be like that. You understand? So I think at the end of the day, let the justice take its course, right? And I personally think that Gary should not go back there because with all this allegations. And here what Dominic, what caused this problem too? You see the Bayshore Bacchanal down in the west with the curfew, all police can go in there and then you're coming out to charge people for another party in the Beatum or in Lavantil or in Arima or predominant African base. You're trying to give them the full law. But them down in the west, the Western Peninsula from West Forest go down, is a different law for them. You know why? Because the African people some of them may know their rights, but when the BS they do it in the African areas, right? They can't do that BS over in the West because they go sue the state, and did you know that very well? You understand? But at the end of the day, Dominic, as I say, let justice take its course, and whatever be is be, right? I look to listen.
Thank you, sir. Justice should take its course, but I am foreseeing more issues down the road because there's more than one probe taking place, and then Mr. Griffith is saying he's going to come back in after one probe is finished. What about the others? Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic. Good
afternoon, Mother.
Good afternoon, Sharon. Good afternoon. We're Kingsley PD, boy. Kingsley, you must take your time sometime and give a chance. Oh, God, man, you're great to come back here, man. Dominic, I have a problem, you know. Since yesterday, we had like a freak storm in Chicago, here. And internet going down, you can't use your phone, no TV, no nothing. And so overdoing that now, so they're overdoing that. All people didn't have, people get back what they want to get back. But Shagwanet and Barataria now, they tell it, but you know what? So nasty, because tomorrow now, they will open up they will fix it. Because they don't have work on a weekend. No TV, no news, no update, no nothing. You understand? And the toilet inside, they have a man calling the day. Nathaniel, come here to fix my other bathroom, not mine. The man charged him for no handle. $60. I paid my $100 to change the hands on the toilet. And he couldn't do the job. He hasn't spinning right away wrong. He take my money gone. Nathaniel, and them tell from Nathaniel people. Imagine as a sick woman in the bed here. And where do I got? No man to supervise. And Nathaniel coming in and trick me, call me. But I was to call the police soon, Dominic, because that's advantage. People coming to look for me here, they can't use the toilet. And he got it $160 less than a month ago. You hear what I'm saying? Nathaniel is the name.
Wow.
Tall, dark, African brother, that. And I tell him I'm going to call the name on the radio. I said, come, 1 week after he go on the toilet, you know what he do? He come and he take off the new handle he buy, and he put back on the old handle when he take off. And I leave here with the same old handle and no service on my toilet. For my $160 gone. I'm going to call police. I want the police, community police, say, here, we're to come visit me. And I'm going to deal with that Daniel for me. Because nobody is going to take advantage of it because I ain't got no husband anymore. My mother will still work for me. Sorry about that, Dominic, but I have to get my calls on the radio, all right?
Yes,
Peace
mother.
and love.
So, Flo, if any of our listeners are working at Flo, mother needs to get your assistance, and Nathaniel better than that, man. We could do that. You can't do that. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, Dominic, you hear me?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, right. Listen to all the comments here, good comments and something. My strong suggestion is that bacchanal between the GG and the TSC. I think let us take care of that matter because I find out too much bacchanal. And another thing to say that the AG had resigned. It's very strange because the Gold Coast was originally shifted to the National Security Minister. Remember they was asking him to step down?
Yes.
Right? And thank goodness Mr. Sajjad said that he had a witness. He was on phone. So, you know, that people not asking for him to step down. Remember too, on the Monday night forum, and Matthew was also bringing Miss Camille Robinson in the forum too. And she called him in this bacchanal as well.
Yes, she said it was a Bishop's Tea Party.
And the impression is that she had to step down as well. So, I think we have to recognize that the UNC are looking for people to bust the truth. And there are still people who are still talking students at the PNM won the election in 2020. They're looking for anything for any minister to step down, and they will see that the government collapse, and it's for them to call a general election, an election. You also have something.
Yes.
Dominic, that is the game that is being played out. So let us see what's going on. Now, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't the insurance supposed to have advisors when he's drafting the bill?
What's that?
People, doesn't the attorney general have consultations or people assisting him to draft the bill?
Yes.
So we should find out who are the people or the players involved with him drafting the bill. And then we can make a decision who made the error. That makes sense to you, Dominic?
Mm-hmm.
Before people are calling for resignation, because if the AG resigns, maybe the Prime Minister should resign and call election. That is what they want, that's what the UNC want. And as for me, I feel it would be because originally they didn't want Gigi to be the commissioner. They wanted that this guy, the name of the call something Dulachan.
Yeah, Deodath Dulalchan.
The Loti man, to be the commissioner. But I think the thoughts are being playing out, and as far as I'm concerned, I think the reason why the president, Tanti Anti, inquired because if she make a boo, they go say that she's a PNM. You understand what the game is being played out?
Yes.
So I think right now let she watch what's going on, and then she can make her final thing. This is what I game at chess. The whole point is that people want the government out. They want the government to call an early election. That is the whole problem. Right? I'm not saying I want to touch on something, Dominic. I noticed that this man is in Tobago. He made a statement in his meeting, PDP meeting, saying that he will see Tobago is in a condition similar to a hurricane during the days of Hurricane Flora. I don't know if you heard that statement made by Mr. Duke.
No, I didn't.
I think I should clear that because if that is the case, that is very disingenuous. Because I think if we see in PNM who helped Tobago out of that same system when the hurricane struck Tobago in 1962 or 1963. But
I'll be looking for it.
I think I look and listen to that thing, but I find it's a thing that it's kind of disingenuous. It doesn't make any sense at all. And also to hear that the gentleman from Brickenbarrow's customer and carrying and saying that he not setting up no safety zone for people who are vaccinated. Who take the jab. I don't know. It's not something that has to please people in this country, but I don't know. But like I said, in this back and everything, the whole point is that they want the government to call for an election. You have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. I want to tackle the Kings at these things alone because Kings is a man show now what really the UNC people are about. I next thing, Gary Griffin says that bully and taking back that. Thank you.
All right. The views expressed are not the views of the Street 919 FM. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Mm-hmm. So, Dominic, so the police commissioner term was ending. And, of course, the person who have to put somebody to act would know what to do. And they decided to put the same person to act, right? That's what happened?
Yes.
Because I did not hear your contribution, your reference this morning, because I was sort of busy, so I was hearing everybody. I will probably go back and listen to it later on. Right. So they decided to give the person the opportunity to act until they decide to select somebody, which it could be that same person or somebody else. But that person must have knowledge of that they are not in a permanent position, they're just acting, that's all?
Correct, yes.
Right. But as soon as I got confirmation to act, I decided I'm going on holiday. You're not acting again. Right? If you're on holiday, you're not acting. Hello?
Yes, but his contention is that he was given a letter which stated that he would be acting until such time as a substantive commissioner is appointed. So in his view, he could go on vacation and somebody would just hold on until he come back.
Also, he appoints somebody to hold on in.
No, well, the Police Service Commission gave a letter to Mr. Jacob telling him that he was supposed to be acting until September 20th or earlier. But I think the issue is with that earlier that Mr. Griffith was of the opinion that he could have come back out before the 20th of September, which is when his leave was supposed to come to an end.
So what the commissioner meant by that letter, because you see, we have to be very clear when we make a statement or writing somebody and letting them know that. So my acting position could be terminated earlier
Correct,
than
yes.
the 20th, right? So that is clear. The man would have that clear in his mind. He have no specific date.
Yes.
Before or on that date. Right. So who is going to come back before or on that specific date? The commissioner know that? Know who that person would be? So
I guess not.
So then you have to make an arrangement with the person who originally going to act that they could come back earlier then, because they could come back anytime they want. They could come back on the date of the 20th, or they could come back earlier, because if Mr. Jacob's position can be terminated or be released, it means that somebody is coming there.
Correct. Yes, which is why Mr. Griffith had said that he would have contacted the Minister of National Security to let him know that he was coming back prior to the 20th.
Yeah, but did the commissioner, did the National Security Minister give him his appointment and I forget the word to use, yes? Meaning that was he one of the persons who gave consent to give him his acting position, or he just decided he will call anybody?
No, he would not have been part of that process.
Yeah, well, no, but why he contacted him?
Well, because the contract between the police commissioner's contract is actually with the Ministry of National Security, and Mr. Hines, as the minister, indicated that Mr. Griffith would have had to have sought his permission to go on to take that leave, and that Mr. Hines, granted the leave.
But Mr. Hines granted the leave for the 20th and not before the 20th.
Correct. That's why when Mr. Griffith contacted him, he told him to remain. Mr. Hines said he told him to remain on leave until the 20th, which is when your leave is supposed to, that you are requested, is supposed to come to an end.
Yeah, because we have an agreement. Because whatever I am doing, I have to make sure before you come out, certain things have to be in place, meaning I have to notify somebody that this person is coming out on the 20th, so we have to make accommodation or make space for you there, you know?
Correct,
and
yes.
We assign you. You see, Dominic, sometimes I wonder who represents the people, you know? And you see these kind of wording, that's why when they go in Parliament and make those laws and they pull out this and they put in this, and then somebody could take them to court, although in court somebody would have won on certain thing, on that same law before, but somehow for this other person who don't have much money, they can't win on that. This type of thing the government, the politicians, and they do, and they have to stop it. They're representing the people. You word your thing properly, because we outside know exactly what you say. Or if you say something and we don't understand because the interpretation is different, all kind of interpretation, and I have a problem with that. I really do have a problem now. They better solve this issue with Mr. Griffith. Mr. Griffith is not the commissioner of police, his term has ended. If they give him to act, he could act in 2 days, 3 days, 1 month or whatever. I don't know the detail of his acting, or how long he's supposed to act, or until they think I don't know it, I'm not privy to that. But we have to know how long they give him to act, or he's not going to act. Well, I hope he's not going to act forever.
Well, according to Mr. Griffith, the letter that he would have received from the PSC states that he is to act until a substantive commissioner is chosen, whether it's himself or somebody else.
So if he do something wrong, they can't send him away.
Well,
you see, I think these people who we put in position, we have to check their mind, the way they think in their brain, and find out if they can function, you know, because big lawyers, we've seen as big lawyers coming up now to decide that if we don't know, if we don't have common sense with all the law that they're talking about, and they can manipulate everything because they're on top and we can't see anything. So they are in charge, and you're looking at lawyers who are politicians who operated under the same laws, and decide things for us. They're now going to take those things to court. I have a problem with it. Totally. I am not in position to say who is good and who's not good. We put people there to do that. So I want them to make sound decisions, word your things properly. It is clear in everybody's mind. That is what it's supposed to be. Have a pleasant day. Take care.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Dominic. AM.
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Yeah, you know, I know why they're trying to put the president into all of this. You remember one of our most respected, some say most loving, Mr. Nur Hassan Ali.
Yes.
Some people used to wonder if he used to talk. Because he never used to mix up anything, and as a former judge and person who know the law, he very well know his position was 99% ceremonial. To sign off on this and sign off on that and make certain things official. That's how a democracy does work. It's not in this part of the world. You know, it's not like in Guyana where very government have a president. The prime minister is the one in charge, and it's because of the prime minister, this president and I believe other presidents get in the role because them who doesn't make the recommendations.
Correct, yes.
So I don't know why they're trying to tab the president in this thing. The president can't get involved politically. Right? But isn't it supposed to be? What some people say like Mova? Money going to make all wrong, and at the end of the day, jump high, jump low, real money, the system going on get milk for what it's worth. Right?
Yes.
That's the first fact I deal with. But the City Assurance Service Commission was to ensure proper protocol or ethics in office, you know, because the Source government, some people find, was dominated by mostly Africans, and as Indians who were involved in the politics, they thought we had to put certain things in measure to... Who was saying that? It was you saying that, Dominic?
But you're referring to the former head of the Police Service Commission, Mr. Nizam Mohammed?
All right, somebody was saying that, and you know, so I want to know, like, is the food we eat, to me that's simple situation. You give a man a contract for 3 years. Any normal body, any normal person will think at the end of the 3 years, you put things in place to ensure that there's a smooth process. How come and why we reach this situation where a man who was a normal 3-year contract like everybody else reached the end of his contract and still in a position to demand or they give me back a contract when there is no the process. So somebody playing games somewhere along. The Police Service Commission either they didn't do the job or they didn't do the job. For whatever reason, we don't know. But from where I stand, people in as dumb as they're playing. And if you watch, he wants to resign quickly, professionally. And he wants to sticking around and hanging around like this, like a tick on a dog. They want to move. It means they're making all the bacchanal too. They oversee all the bacchanal. And with all the politics playing out here, it's only 85% but don't pay attention, feel that government and a president thing by now. Right? Why am I no contract done? Why it reach to this? Why they didn't make sure that things in place? Why was the man who acting now who's a real police, as some would say? Why are they trying to make it look like it's so much confusion that all they can give you the post and all that to make sure this is there's absolute nonsense what's taking place here right now. And it's like the drilling company all in the case the other day. To get tired of people out here. If there's somebody okay like me or you, might not be a problem in this. Put things out there. And when it happens, then same people knocking champagne glass in the background and balling. Yeah, boy. You touch them, boy. You understand why we out here in red and yellow jersey, thinking on opposite sides? Because remember that Attorney General, the same as $1,500 million was spent, and never in any case of significance or anything at all to the state. You know, if I read a UNC caller who's spreading propaganda and misinformation, tell me, I'll stop talking. But to the best of my ability, what I say is the truth. Right? $1,500 million was spent. Look at the Malcolm Jones case. Right? The same warrants the government retained what they had. The same warrants the thing will make sense. You're using taxpayers' money to further this thing because this thing ain't going to reach no way. But they're running all about like headless chickens. Balling like, you got to collect the PNM and Malcolm Jones and all kind of nonsense. But so you see in this case something, I want to know what made Guy Griffith so different, right? That he would demand, you know? He's supposed to be in the commissioner post, you know, and why would the PSC make such a situation happen and make all this nonsense for going on right now happen? That is what we have to ask. I blame Guy Griffith and I ain't blaming. But the Public Service Commission, boy, them is the meat of this whole situation. They take 3 years to find a commissioner and they didn't find him. And then they're trying to tell me a man who contract done obligated to still come back as the commissioner of police. And from what I'm hearing from people who sound like they know what they're saying, you can't tarnish this office. You know? Once they say bringing this office into disrepute, the former commissioner of police, Randolph Burrows, given the case, but you can go back there. So it's a frightening thing when I hear you saying, or people saying, that this man coming back there, going to score that 1990 or something or what? We are not trusting you again. You perform a superhero running down blue-collar crime and the white-collar crime, you never deal with it. We will get into it because it will take too long. But don't make you know what I'm talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, Jenny.
Yes, Dominic. I just want to clarify something because I hear some people saying it. Based on what the Minister of National Security said, when Gary Griffith wrote to him asking to go on no-pay leave, the minister contacted the Police Service Commission. You know. So the minister did not give the approval on his own. There was an agreement and the Police Service Commission agreed, and that is how Mr. Griffith went on his vacation. Well before the day was up, the time was up for Mr. Griffith to come back out, he wrote to the Minister of National Security asking if he can come back before the due date. The Minister of National Security contacted the Police Service Commission, who told him that Mr. Griffith also wrote to them And they would have advised him, amongst other things, to go back to the minister. And that is when the minister called Mr. Gary Griffith and tell him, listen, I know that you wrote to the Police Service Commission and I know what they tell you. So based on all that, it is best you come back out when they say it's your time to come back out. And then all passa start. So I just want to clear that people saying like the minister alone gives him. The minister would be involved in it because it's a contracted position. And any contracted position in the public service or in the ministries, it has to come through the minister, because the minister has to carry that to cabinet to get the necessary approval, some monies and everything that is a part of that contract. So that's why the minister is involved. Although the Police Service Commission is who treats for the police service, right? But the minister, because it's a contract, any ministry, once it's a contracted position, the minister is involved in it because they have to take whatever contract it is to the cabinet for it to be approved in terms of monies and whatever benefits. So that's how the minister was a part of this. But when he finished that part there and told Mr. Griffith to come back out when it's due, passa break out after that. And where we are right now with the Police Service Commission in the middle of all the melee, they are at fault because they are the ones in charge of that whole process, and they did not make it clear in the letters. Whoever gave them legal advice did not write whatever letters and send it properly. That is why we saw in Wassa when Dr. Seeley would have written to Watson Duke. You see how that ended up, because it was so word, it was poorly crafted. And when you're dealing with labor, you have to be very specific when you want somebody to interact with a contract or anything, because you don't want any implied things to be there. You need to express it properly. So the Police Service Commission would have erred in whatever letter they would have sent to Gary Griffith, telling him that he will be able to act. Something in the wording went wrong, and everybody's interpretation came involved. That's why it is before the court now. Thanks again, Dominic.
Thank you, Jenny. I would also add to that the fact that the Commissioner of Police sits on the National Security Council, and therefore if decisions have to be made which involves the Commissioner of Police, he should naturally inform the Minister of National Security if it is he's going on leave, because things have to be put into place. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
I heard, was it Monday, Kamala celebrated 50 years of marriage. That was Monday. I think that's a mile marker.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Right, we will extend congratulations to her and Mr. Bisessa. I think I saw her post up a photo on Facebook with her and Mr. Bisessa back in the much younger days. So we're not petty here. Congratulations and happy anniversary, belated, to Mrs. Prasad Bisessa and Dr. Gregory Bisessa. So we are out of time, folks, but not out of things to say. The countdown is on. So as usual, join Sharon and Bruce in the morning, Titans of Democracy, from 6 o'clock, and I will be back with you on Tuesday, God's willing. And well, there's so many other things that is in the public domain to be discussed, and I would want to do so. But certainly this issue with Gary Griffith isn't going anywhere, and I foresee that this is probably going to be running well until the 31st of October or the 1st of November, when, according to today's newspaper, Mr. Griffith has indicated he expects to return to office as the acting Commissioner of Police until such time as the Police Service Commission selects a new commissioner. When that will be, we don't know, because if the President appoints an entirely new board, a new commission, whether things would have to start all over again is left to be seen. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will chat on, you guys will see me again on Tuesday, God's willing. So I'm out.
What is Apex? It is the pinnacle of high-performance vision through a lens. It's clarity, no matter what angle you look at. It's comfort, no matter what you do all day, every day. And it's customized with every digital measurement your eyes require to see at their very best. Apex Digital Lenses by Value Optical, the ultimate lens design for your eyes.